Struggling with scanning errors and peeling labels? Moving or reconfiguring your warehouse? Implementing a new WMS? The wrong labels can slow your operation down. Luckily, ID Label has durable, scannable barcode labels and signs built to last and keep your operation moving. Plus, if you need to get those labels installed, they've got it covered. Their expert team installs rack labels, overhead signs, floor striping, and more with precision, so your warehouse operations continue uninterrupted. I've installed tens of thousands of labels in my career, and I wish I had someone else do it for me. Get a free sample pack at idlabelinc.com, because when they do the barcodes, you can do more. That's idlabelinc.com for a free sample pack and more information.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, we're going to talk all about optimization and leveraging AI to be able to create that optimization. I'm going to be joined by Bart Gadeyne, who is the founder and CEO at Optioryx. And we're going to learn a little bit about why he founded the company, what it's all about, and how they're addressing some further optimization within your warehouse operation, and how they're leveraging AI, and also how you can look at AI and start to embrace it a little bit, I think. So we're going to talk about that here today. So Bart, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Kevin. I'm fine. Thank you.
Definitely happy to get you on here. Happy to learn more about what you have built here, and I guess are continuing to build, I'm sure, as well, and what you're bringing to warehouse operations. So why don't we kick it off here first? Give us just a brief overview of what Optioryx is, and tell us a little bit about kind of the founder story here. You're the founder and CEO, so tell us a little bit about why you started this company too.
Yeah, what Optioryx does is digitize and optimize warehouse processes. It's a very broad meaning. How did we start? I think I've been working in logistic optimization for more than 10 years now. And in the past, I used to work more on the route planning side of things, so vehicle routing problems, but always addressing logistical complex puzzles, solving them with meta-heuristics, algorithms, and AI components as well. With Optioryx, I shifted more towards applying those capabilities within the warehousing aspect. So everything that happens in the warehouse, you want to optimize and digitize. The first problem that we solved was, we saw that too much air was being shipped in boxes, stacked on pallets, and also in trucks. And this comes at a high transport rate expense. So there we built a 3D Tetris optimization algorithm to really stack goods as efficiently as possible within those receptacles. So that was the first component. And then, we saw traction on that first element, that first software product. We kept on growing the team with people who are experts at AI and optimization techniques. And then one thing led to another, like we got questions, could you perhaps also look at other elements of warehousing? And then some of our customers, they said, if we would have your capabilities, we would like to focus on reducing walk distance in a warehouse. So then we gradually developed optimization components on picking optimization. It's a two-step approach. I'm not going to dive into the details, but there we're able to reduce walk distance by 20 to 55%, which is very drastic. And this is typically added on to WMSs like Blue Yonder, GDA, SAP EWM, and Manhattan. Again, one thing led to another. There we got questions. Okay, you do pick optimization. There you already know where the SKUs are being positioned in the warehouse. What if you could optimize that as well? So more the slotting optimization. And there we built like a full warehouse digital twin where you can say, look, so you can upload Excel files in that web application and identify your improvement potential. Is that on picking optimization? Is that on slotting optimization? Is that on 3D load building? And it's also very easy to run what if scenarios. A lot of warehouse engineers who are working on continuous improvement are thinking, what if you would buy new trolley types? What if you would redesign our warehouse layout a bit? They can easily adapt that into the tool, run those simulations, and immediately see the impact on picking productivity. That's more the optimization part that we built. And one thing we learned while implementing the 3D load building cases is that we saw a lot of warehouses, though they don't have decent master data, especially dimensions. Yeah, we had a look at what's out there to solve that. And basically, you can measure everything by good old tape measure, which most people understand that is not the ideal way to go. Or they look at static dimensioners, which are often quite expensive. So that's why we developed the first mobile SKU and pallet dimensioning app. And again, there we added some functionalities because we saw some of our customers said, nice that you can do dimensioning, but can you add like a barcode scan? Because we need the unique ID in our WMS. Very logical one. Can you add custom questions like, is this stackable? How should this be rotated? How should this be shipped? And now we added a full AI scanning component as well. So you can just take pictures, identify license plates from trucks or container numbers from containers, or detect damages, etc. So right now we built like a full no-code platform where you can say, look, this is my flow, which I want to digitize. You just link it to each other and you push it immediately towards all the devices that are linked to your account. And you can instantly digitize your flows. So we're working on both aspects. And you may think it's a bit of a crazy story because you develop multiple components, but all of them have traction,
Yeah.
And so what we mostly do is we come in at a company and say, look, how are you working? Where are your biggest challenges? And then based on those challenges, we say, look, based on what you're saying right now, I think these are the improvement points that you can make. Have a look at this one, have a look at that one.
Interesting. And I think it is interesting to hear how you've kind of just like built the layers on, basically, right, as you come across these challenges. So let's talk a little bit about that. So as you talk to these operators, you engage with them, and you try to understand their challenges. I mean, what are you seeing right now? This year, 2025, we're about not quite halfway through, but we're almost halfway through, right? As we're recording this, like, what are you seeing are some of the challenges that are reoccurring for these operators that you're talking to? What challenges keep coming up? What are things that stick out to you?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. First one, a lot of businesses, they're looking into automation, of course. Yeah. They see nice things passing by on LinkedIn, all the nice automated warehouses. But they often see that there's not always a business case for that. It's very expensive. It takes years before it's finally getting some payback as well. So they're looking for alternatives. What we provide there is more something like, you don't need the big investment costs. There's a very, very low threshold to try it out, and you can immediately get your productivity up by 20-30%. So that is something they're doing. They have difficulties with assessing all the possibilities that are out there. Should we go for automation? Should we maybe reorganize our processes a bit better to cope with, or to get some productivity increases? That's one thing. On the other hand, I see a lot of people thinking about how they can apply AI, but I think that's a bit not the right question to ask. I think everything should start in the process that you have and see what you could improve. And if that involves applying AI, fantastic. If it doesn't, if there are other techniques, that's fine as well, as long as you make that next step.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You work hard for your warehouse, but is your technology working as hard as you do? Don't you think your warehouse deserves that? Find that technology work ethic with the EPG One Unified Supply Chain Execution Suite that's built to arm warehouse leaders with tech that powers competitive edge. With modular solutions for WMS, WCS, TMS, workforce, doc, 3PL billing, control tower, and the number one voice picking solution named Lydia Voice, the EPG1 suite gives you tech that works harder for your warehouse and the agility to help you scale with confidence and be built for what's next. Smarter, connected, and harder working logistics starts at EPG.com. That's EPG.com. Interesting. So would you say that a lot of people maybe are thinking about robotics, automation, or AI too soon? Like there's other things that I think that's what I'm hearing from you, is that there's other things they should do before they get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely, sure. I think automation makes sense. There are so many different types of automation, as you know.
Yeah.
But like full automated warehouses, it's some kind of a vision and it looks nice, but you need very high volumes and also a very specific order item profile to go in that direction. There are multiple steps in between. Sometimes it's not always the best move to look into that full automated warehousing capabilities. It's better to focus on getting your processes under control and improving those processes, sometimes by applying optimization software before you take it to the next step.
Interesting. And you mentioned earlier there about your app, right, which captures dimensions, right? A mobile app that will scan based on the camera, right? It will capture the dimensions there. So, and you mentioned that that's a big gap, right, for a lot of companies, is that master data and having, I guess, accurate master data. So tell us a little bit about, how is that kind of create the foundation for all of these other things to build upon? Like, why is that so critical? Why is it so important to have sound and correct master data to be able to do that?
Yeah, it's a story where we gradually found out there are a lot of different use cases. In the beginning, it was really on the load building part to propose the right box types for your distribution center and to stack your containers in a better way. But there are so many use cases. One of them is, for example, during sales order creation, you want to have your transport costs estimate ready to invoice it to your customers. It needs to be accurate. You need right master data. On inbound, when you scan something, for example, a pallet, sometimes you need the pallet height to put it into the right location, because often racks in the warehouse have different heights. And if you give it a location where it doesn't fit in, you lose time by repositioning it into another one. If you do picking operations, let's say pick to box, you need to know the box type before you start filling up your trolley. If it doesn't fit in, you got some rehandling as well. On outbound, sometimes you need to know the height and other things of a pallet to pass it on towards your carrier to identify the cost that is going to be involved. So there are a lot of different things where you need accurate master data. It's basically, if you don't have the right master data, you will have so many follow-up issues during the other warehouse processes. And it's something that you only learn gradually if you know that, okay, this is also my master data. That is the issue. We should fix that first before we move on to the other parts of the business. Yeah,
it's interesting because, you want to, I guess, like you said, you see these, robots like going by on LinkedIn or something like that. And it's like, oh, wow, that's cool, right? I need something like that in my operation. But if you don't have that master data solidified and in the right place, like nothing like that will ever work, right? I mean, to its full potential or be fully optimized in that sense. So it's very interesting to hear that. And I think that, the app you've created is certainly like a very easy way to go and capture that, right? Because I've done projects before where we've had to get a ton of dimensions and weights for SKUs that just wasn't captured or tracked over many years, and now all of a sudden, like you upgrade a system or you bring in some type of equipment, and it needs that, right? It needs to be accurate to do that.
Also another use case might be an auto store implementation. You need to have the product DIMS to know how many SKUs will fit in those bins. Another cool one is we're not actually focusing on this market, but airline terminals. So carry-on luggage, as you know, if it's surpassing a couple of dimensions, you might have to pay more.
Yeah.
And we're doing some things there as well.
Oh, interesting.
Don't hate me for that, Kevin, please.
Yeah. What are you trying to do? You're trying to make me check my bag. I see. But so it's interesting there. And so you mentioned too that, you're seeing where organizations may be pursuing AI or investigating AI is not necessarily, maybe it's too soon for them, right? Maybe it's a little too early, but you're leveraging AI in your solutions. I think I saw. So tell us a little bit about how you're leveraging that, and how does that translate into like the operations or the operations manager that's leading the warehouse that's going to utilize your solutions.
So to clarify, we're combining AI components with meta heuristics. And so it's not always AI that we're using. We just look at what's the problem and what they want to solve. And now we look at what are the best components and technology to solve that.
Tell us what meta heuristics, tell us what that is.
Oh, that's basically if you have a very complex problem, you're gonna work with heuristics to find a suitable or one of the best solutions in the full space of possible solutions. Like sometimes you got billions of possible solutions for a problem, and you're gonna find algorithms that can find that solution. Not always the best one, but a very good one in a short period of time. And then you need meta heuristics. One of them is, for example, it's quite difficult to explain in full detail, Kevin, to be honest. It's like sometimes you start off with trying a couple of very good, promising solutions and then applying local search to it. Like you always have, for a certain solution, you have an objective function. And you track that objective function, do a couple of mutation of a solution. And then you see what's the impact on that objective. And you always keep track on what's the best one, but you allow for some worse solutions as well, because you need some diversity in your space where you're looking.
Yeah, so I didn't mean to derail your answer there, but I wanted to clarify that for the audience, and I guess myself too as well. So yeah, I mean, so tell us a little bit about, because you're talking about, utilizing the AI and these meta heuristics as well, right? And how then leveraging that technology can, how you're utilizing that yourself with your solutions.
Yeah. So for example, in slotting, many companies are still, they think they're applying slotting optimization, but it almost always comes down to ABC classification. What are the high rotators, medium and slow rotators? But the thing is, you need to take into account product or item correlation, affinity. For example, a keyboard and a mouse are often sold together. It's better to place them close to each other in a warehouse. And this might sound obvious for this example, but if you've got thousands of SKUs, it's very difficult to handle with the human brain. And that's where AI comes in. So you can detect a lot of patterns in between those SKUs to give promising solutions. So that's one aspect there. Another one is, if you apply slotting when SKUs come in on inbound, you got, for example, 30, 40 available locations, you give it a certain position based on the information that you have. But it might be that solution is not only always the best one, because all of a sudden there might become a lot of free space again in the warehouse, depending on seasonality and other factors. And you can learn from the positioning that you've done so far. So that's a bit of a self-learning aspect as well. That's a super important aspect. Where we also use it is in that dimensioning application. So we need AI vision to be able to solve this.
Interesting. Okay.
And we have in the other components of the mobile app, you can use some OCR capabilities as well. So you can scan a shipping label and automatically detect information from an unstructured document, like a ship from, ship to address, some other elements, and transfer it or translate that into a structured document. So in all of our solutions, we have combinations of AI and meta heuristics.
Interesting. And tell us a little bit more about the digital twin solution, right? Because I think that's something that can be incredibly useful for an operation, but I still think that there's a lot of people out there that haven't fully like wrapped their head around a little bit. And it sounds like you're you're taking a much simpler approach than some of the other
Correct.
approaches I've
Yeah,
seen with a lot of
you're
sensors and things like that. Yeah.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that one. Um, how we attack that. It's just kind of funny because 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, I got a question from somebody here in Belgium.
Mm.
What do you think about warehouse digital twins? And I said, oh, digital twin, it's another buzzword.
Yeah.
Could you clarify what that means? And everybody has another definition of it.
Right.
Sometimes it's connected with IoT, like sensors from the warehouse. Other interpretations are not the case. I'm doing a workshop with the Flemish Institute of Logistics at the moment just to clarify the definition of what is a warehouse digital twin, because you got so many different steps in there. How I see it is that you got two ways of looking at it. You got the consulting point of view, like if you need to start from scratch by building or designing a warehouse. You have these tools where you dump in a lot of data and they're going to simulate what's the best thing to do. Should we go for automation? Should we go for other things? What kind of equipment do we need? And it's like a one-time big exercise. How we came into that space is more like, okay, we look at all the processes that are out there. We built algorithms and the AI to solve those issues and connect them via API. But at some point in time, we had to build in a web application a warehouse layout in a digital way, because we need to have the distances between every node in the network of a layout. So that was our first step to creating that digital twin. That we saw, okay, we have the algorithms, we have the layout, we have all the data from the customer because we interface with the WMS. It's very easy to give insights and analytics, like congestion heat maps, where pickers are walking the most, ABC visuals, etc., on where are the hydro rotators. And then in the last component, we saw, we received so many requests on how can we improve our warehouse from people who are working on continuous improvement. And they always have very nice ideas. What if you would change the layout a bit? What if you would buy other equipment? What would happen? And then we say, okay, we're going to build a strategic component on top of the operational one. And we're going to let you simulate changes. If you make a change, what is the impact on productivity? How many people will you need in the warehouse? What will be your throughput time, etc. So in the end, we moved towards a digital twin concept. That being said, just to clarify, we don't have that IoT input from a warehouse, not yet. might be there in the future, but the thing is, it's getting quite expensive if you need to also interface with IoT devices, etc. So right now, we try to be like that solution where you can just throw in data, very low threshold, see where the optimization potential is, and if you're convinced about it, just link it to your WMS and you're good to go.
Interesting. And so would you say that's, so if I think about digital twin, right, in the grand scheme with when you talk about IoT and sensors and all these things, right? I mean, that's very, I think, out of reach for like a mid-market, warehouse operation, right? So, so would you say that, like your solution is much easier for, someone that has less of a budget and can go out and get all these sensors and things to be able to leverage and utilize?
I understand what you mean. That being said, we do have the nicest business cases, of course, if you work for a bit larger companies.
Yeah.
Because then, of course, every percentage that you can win is an absolute value a lot more than if you do that on a lower scale. But I follow you. Mainly, you're focused on the mid to large enterprises, not the extra large, because these ones, they are probably more likely to invest in the full digital twin with data from IoT devices, and also looking into how can AI on top of that make its decisions autonomous based on all these IoT input. But I think that's a very nice vision, but difficult to bring into practice without making operational mistakes.
Interesting. And so I guess tell us, who really, because you have a couple different products, right, solutions that you're offering. So, I mean, tell us who really would be a good fit for you as a customer or someone that could solve their problems with your solutions.
Yeah, the mobile app It's a very wide variety of customers that we have. It can be smaller companies, bigger ones, 3PLs, non-3PLs. So that's super broad. On the warehouse digital twin and optimization part, there we typically look into 3PLs or companies who have a significant warehousing activity. In B2B, we see benefits. We see more benefit in B2C operations, especially on the picking side of things, where, for example, you have more than 5 pickers at least, then there's for sure a business case. And typically where we see the highest gain is that if you still do manual trolley picking and you combine, let's say, 10, 15 orders on a trolley, you want to improve that.
Gotcha. Interesting. And I like too, I mean, it sounds like the entry point with Optioryx, right, is the mobile app to do dimensioning, and then you can kind of add these layers as you get further optimization. So I guess, for a last kind of thought here, how would you recommend or how do you advise, warehouse leaders and people that are in charge of the operations? I mean, how do you advise them to go about this optimization journey, right? Because you've kind of almost created like a path for them, I would say, with the different solutions. But tell us what your advice would be. Like, how do you even start, and how do you come up with a plan to let's optimize our operation, like we talked about earlier, before we get to trying to leverage AI and trying to leverage robotics and things like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first have your medium-term plan in place, meaning look at these business executives. They will know a lot better where the biggest business gains are. What are the biggest challenges? Where are the biggest cost components, whether it's people, transport, or something else. So first have a look at that one, identify where the optimization potential is, or at least the feeling of, and then look at how can we get there. If it's like on the transport side of things, and you first need to get your master data to a decent level, then you can start like, okay, we're gonna just take step one, meaning enriching the dimensions and weights of your master data on multiple levels, on SKUs, master cart, and pallet level. Once we have this, we go to the next step. For example, if you talk about packaging, you can include 3D cartonization via API to really recommend the right boxes for every order. But another component is, for example, maybe you don't have the right box types and box sizes in your warehouse. So that's like a one-time analysis that we can do as well, to really identify which box types you should buy, and also lower your spend. So there's always just start by focusing on the main areas of improvement, where your biggest costs are, what you want to improve, and then it's very easy for us to know, like, okay, what steps should you take to move that? Often it starts with the data.
Interesting. So it all kind of comes back to the data in a sense, right? And making sure that's right in the beginning, which I think is really, really important point to kind of drive home and have that understanding, because most of the solutions, like we talked about, and whether it's solutions with you or solutions outside, whether it's robotics, AI, anything like that. I mean, if that data's not right, like we talked about, then you're not going to have the success that you expect when you implement these other solutions, right? So I love that you've kind of come out with this foundational product or solution with the mobile dimensioning, right? And then kind of built on top of that all the way through for that optimization journey. So really interesting to talk to you here today, Bart, and learn about Optioryx and a little bit more about optimization and AI and some of the data that needs to be foundationally there to fully optimize an operation. If people want to learn more from you or want to learn more about Optioryx, what's the best way to do that?
Just contact me or pay a visit on the website. There you can get in touch with us.
All right. And what's the website?
Optioryx.com.
All right, great. And we'll definitely put that at thenewwarehouse.com as well as in the show notes here. So, Bart, thank you once again for joining me on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Enjoyed this episode? Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, and for more content from the new warehouse, find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Links to subscribe can be found in the show notes, and for everything The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com.